Finlay back again. As you can see, I've just cut out the outline of the template. I used a 185 cordless circular saw and I stayed close to the line just for the front two cuts on the face side of the riser and the face edge of the treads that they're going to be seen, face side and face edge. And again, just stayed a little bit away from the line. And then I cleared the rest out with the jigsaw. And I'm just tidying up those lines now using a flat file. Why did I stay away from the lines? Because with a flat file, as with a chisel, there's a certain technique. If you just try and file straight through like that at 90 degrees to the grain, you're going to chip the back of the material away, chip it out. And if I chip it out, the pilot bearing for the router, as it runs around the guidelines, will jump and follow those chips. And of course that will transfer into my template, into my string, from my template into my string, which is what I don't want to occur. So I'm just going to spend a few minutes just tidying up and filing down to those guidelines. And as you can see, rather than straight up and down and perpendicular, I'm actually angling my file over and getting more surface area of the edge across the file, making the process more stable. So you can see there, hopefully, we're slowly getting a nice, flat, straight edge to the top face of those treads. You can still see some line there. I'm just going to keep filing that until it's nice and close. And the same down the, as I said, the face side of the riser. And then we'll be able to go routing. Not just with the wrist, the whole arm becomes part of the file. I'll continue with that and come back when we've got it done. So as you can see, I've done a lot of filing and I've just laid the template over the mark out that I had on the string just to see how I'm progressing with the line up between the guideline on the string and my filing to the lines, and that is looking pretty good. Pretty good. Just a little bit of a touch up with the flat file just across the top edge. And again, I'm leaning it back. I'm trying to get as much contact area between the file and the edge that I'm filing. Not little short strokes like this, that's no good. It just means I'm using that much of the file. That's no good at all. I want to try and lean it back and get long, even, straight filing lines. And that prevents me creating any divots or digging any holes with the file in the template. I've done the underside as well, the wedge line cut. And as you can see, there is still the guideline that I originally drew on the template is still visible, as it should be, because if we've been lying the steel square or the ruler on there and marking those lines should be visible as half left on. If we take the lines off, we've made the template too big, we've made our cut too big. That's always the rule, as you all know, about leaving half the line on whenever you're cutting something. So very happy with that template. You just got to let the file do the work. A nice light pistol grip, a nice light finger pointing, not pistol grip, but a long grip. And just drive the file lightly. Let the teeth on the file do the work. Don't try and dig it in, otherwise you'll snap the template. Can always be a bit of a trick for new players when they come and use a tool. initially they think they have to really put some force behind it, but the tools are designed to be used without too much force at all. That's great, pretty happy with that. So what I'm going to do now is align that to my original guide marks. I'll get it in the location where we're ready to go routing, and I'll come back and we'll have a look at how we do the routing. So back again, and you can just see we've got the router lying there on the template at the moment. I've just fixed the template off with one flathead small pin in underneath an area that won't be seen once the tread and the riser material are in, and I've got a second pin where I'm going to route the next riser hole. So that can happily be the riser pocket. That can happily be nailed there and the hole won't be seen. So that's nice and stable. My margin line lines up perfectly from my template to my string, and my guidelines around my template match the area that I want to route beautifully. You can see I've got the 12mm router bit with the pilot bearing above the cutters ready to go. That pilot bearing that you can see spinning there just above the cutters, I'm making sure my finger doesn't touch the sharp little cutters. That's pilot bearing is what's going to run around that outside edge of the template. So I'm going to set the depth for this so that the base plate here aligns with the pilot bearing. Once I've done that, and I've just got to release it a little bit to allow the flat surface of the plate to align with the bearing. Once I've done that, I'll adjust the permanent stop to make sure that height is held, and I'm then able to start my plunge cut with the router into my pockets here, and away we go with a nice steady hand. I've got my string clamped to the bench, so I'll just set that up and we'll have a look at that. So as you can see now, I've actually set that plate, the base plate of the router, to line up with the line of the bearing, nothing below, nothing above it. And I've adjusted my permanent stop so that every time I plunge down, that's the only depth I'm going to. I place the router in the pocket without turning it on to make sure by looking through the open side view here that the bearing is going to meet the template nicely when the routers start cutting. The routers aren't to full depth yet, they aren't to the full depth of the pocket. I can't do these cuts in one run, and I don't want to because that would be too much material engaging with the cutters on the router, making a lot of resistance and perhaps causing the router to climb out of the hole and out of the pocket and ruin my template. So you never want to plunge cut too deeply. I'm going to begin this route and just go around the outside of my major tread and then start working my way down through the riser pocket. When I've done that in one even flow, I'll stop, we'll have a look. I'll remove the template and I'll show you the second plunge cut to the correct depth for the tread pocket. So I'll just suit up here, get the ears on, get the mask on. Lead over the shoulder, out of the way, and we're good to go. Fantastic. Just having a quick look at the result of the route. Looks pretty good from above with the naked eye. You saw as I was cutting down this way with the cutters, I didn't try and drive it into a lot of string material. I worked it with my hands, just taking semicircular ribbons out at a time to keep the resistance off the cutters. I did the same down the riser pocket. So we'll have a look at that. I'll just remove the template.